Hello, my name is Renee Senna, and I've been an English teacher for 6 years, as well as an instructional specialist and an administrator that supervises English departments. And today we are going to look at why students should be exposed to multiple texts in order to increase rigor in the classroom. Today we think about multiple texts as in a time and place for students to do research. However, if you look at why we need to do more synthesis assignments and critical thinking related assignments, this is something that we can incorporate on a daily basis for students. And today I'm going to show you a technique based on an article by Educational Leadership and Sunday Cummins. And what she is going to argue is that the reason why we need multiple texts in the classroom is so that students can build background knowledge and learn the task of synthesis outside of the research experience. In the example that Cummins provides from the picture book Trapped, A Whale's Rescue, this fictional story about a whale being trapped in fishing nets off the coast of California provides a description of the whale's struggle. Students might enjoy the narrative form of the story, but they might also struggle with words like flounders, shudders, and it may be limited or narrowed in scope when you're trying to answer more higher level thinking questions. Students may also struggle to sense the potential gravity of the problem that the whale is experiencing. If you would put it with another excerpt, more about exposition, the students will be able then to get details about what sizably this would entail. So if a student understood how long a whale is, how heavy that it weighed, and what it would take to actually trap a whale in a net, they might be more inclined to ask higher level thinking questions such as how did this happen, and when did they actually do this? And so that's going to make the critical thinking process become more increased in the classroom, and it is going to help the students understand with more guidance and a clearer picture the information that they're seeking. Moving on through the article, Cummins goes back to the reason why students need more exposure outside of research, to practice and get guidance. A lot of times students are on their own when they're looking for articles, or they are trying to answer broad questions that leaves them without a clear idea of what to look for. And so this is just an argument stating that students need to be able to explore more regularly. They need to get more practice and more guidance from the teacher in the process. So a few steps that teachers need to take in order to help students through this. Number one is to establish a purpose, a really clear and narrow focus. They need some essential questions to guide them through the process. For instance, if they are trying to research hedgehogs, instead of just letting them loose in the research library, reading whole books about hedgehogs, they need to understand what it is they're trying to find out about hedgehogs. What role do hedgehogs play in ecosystems? What kind of diet does it have to support its health? So they need some specific questions that will guide them in their research process. And this is something that doesn't have to wait until a research project. It can be done on a regular basis. So when you have a simplified purpose and a narrow focus, you're going to be able to help students get to the goal a lot more quickly and succinctly than if they did not have this and floundered on their own to try to come to that goal. We also need to present students with shorter text, lots of excerpts and pieces, because what will happen is when we give students a large amount of text to read, a whole book or several articles in a row, generalization is bound to occur. And so we want students to be able to think more deeply and come to very clear and logical conclusions that can be analyzed and also presented and communicated in a way that shows real thought has taken place and real connections have occurred. So we want to give them short pieces that can be from articles, they can be from videos, they can be paragraphs, they can be diagrams and things that they are reviewing, lots of different stimuli. so that students can make those connections and can come to those really well communicated conclusions based on the questions they're trying to answer. Students, number 3, need to have making connections between text modeled for them. A lot of times we let them loose and think that they know what they're doing, and they really need a lot of help getting through the process. So a sample of how to do this and how to model this for students is just a simple note-taking example called an inquiry chart. And this is where you can specifically help them get to those questions that they're answering and help them to think about what they already know about the topic and what they're still trying to learn, as well as what they are going to grasp from each resource that they are reviewing. So really they're scanning those texts, they're scanning those excerpts, they're scanning those stimuli for those answers to help them get to a more specific conclusion. As soon as they start making connections, they may go back to their group or they may go back to you for discussion, but they may not know how to model their thinking. They may not know how to use their notes to help them discuss. So point number 4 is basically helping students discuss with their notes using their inquiry chart how to do that. And finally, this is when you can go back to including the writing component, and you can sketch or write based on the goal they're trying to achieve. In conclusion, the multiple benefits of having students use multiple text is really to boost the rigor in a classroom. You want them to have real conversations that have stemmed from deeper understanding and innovative thinking, where they've asked critical thinking questions and come to those answers through a synthesis and analysis process. More than anything, we want students to become informed and answer their own questions. We want them to become agents of their own learning. And I really believe that this article is a proponent of that, and so am I. Thank you very much for listening, and I hope that you follow up on the Google Classroom that's going to be linked to this video so that you can share your ideas with others and also steal some from the other great colleagues that will be sharing as well.